Welcome to Family Lifescaping, where we explore how we influence our environment through joy and wellness. Hello, we're the Kings. I'm Michael.
And I'm Catherine. And today we are going to be discussing part 2 of our home environment, specifically discussing the emotional toxins that you find.
Now, when we are talking about emotional toxins related to your home, you can have both internal and external toxins. Now, of course, the internal are the dynamic or the toxins that come from your relationships within your home. The external are the things that happen that are unexpected that we really can't control. A few examples.
Someone coming to your home that you didn't want.
Yes, that's kind of fresh. So, but the stress. Think about you've had your house set up with no solicitation signs or soliciting, and somebody comes up, knocks on your door, and just will not take no for an answer. That can get a little bit stressful, especially if they're very pushy. That is an external toxin. An internal toxin could be emotional distress between two siblings. Put it like that.
Yeah, just family dynamics, right?
Exactly. You're hearing your kids yell and scream, and you finally get up and like, work it out. No, and then you go and you have to start working out and find out this huge big problem that wasn't a problem, but everybody's stressed out because of it, and everybody's yelling and crying.
Yeah. Or things kind of, they seem fine in the morning, but they build up and build up. So by the end of the day, it's that when you're trying to make dinner, that's when just everything comes to a head.
And yeah, that kind of is one of my problems, because when I'm in the middle of cooking or cleaning or doing something like that, I will finally stop and I will go and I'll talk to my children, and I'm like, do you realize you've made me stop to come in and deal with this?
See, this is where we're different. So male versus female. Male can only, in general of course, can only deal with one thing at a time, can only focus on one thing. As us women, not always wisely, multitask. And so I will be discussing or to the girls while also cooking at the same time.
No, I beg to differ.
Okay.
I am multitasking.
We're going to get a domestic here.
No, we're not. But I'm being stressed now. No, just joking. But when I cook, I will cook multiple dishes at once.
But you're just cooking as a whole. That's one topic.
But when I have
dealing with the kids at the same time.
But when you're having multiple recipes going with multiple different ingredients and times, that is multitasking. And I'm trying to concentrate on that. And then what happens is it really comes down to, well, she told me what to do. Okay, don't listen to her. Walk away. Tell her no. But anyway, let's go on.
That's what's going on with our family right now.
Yes.
So you have those internal and external things that can happen that can cause emotional toxins, emotional de-stresses. Now, I could personally talk about hormones and how having your hormones go completely out of whack can cause multiple, like a whole host of different emotional problems. But that's for another day.
Another day, but also realize for, I will say, men more in this case, try not to be oblivious. I can be oblivious. That causes internal stress when I'm like, what's going on? And it's like, you don't understand. No, I don't.
Okay, so we need to focus back already. Okay. We've gone off on one already. It's the start of this podcast. But so today we're going to quickly go through talking about feelings that are in human nature that we have to deal with every day, but that how they lead to toxic environments.
So we have a list for you. And this list actually contains both emotions, but also feelings. So number one on this list that we have is addiction. Now, that's a big one. Addiction
they're all big.
They're all big, and it comes in various different forms of the addiction. But anger, anxiety, depression, dissatisfaction. I was surprised about that one. Envy, fear, frustration, grief, and another really big one that flies under the radar. Now that's shame. Stop and just think on these for a few minutes and really get a feel for them.
Yeah. I mean, these are just a starting point. for you. There are so many more that you could pick to add to your list. In the Bible, even the Bible has lists for us to take note of and for us to analyze into our own homes and, you know, ourselves. But it's like identifying these, like all of these that Michael just mentioned, they can all start vicious cycles. And so we
have to identify them so that we can break the cycles. And something to remember as we're going through this, neither one of us, myself or Catherine, are licensed therapists or anything like that.
No formal training.
No formal training. But these are just things that we have seen in our family and our lives that we're bringing
in. Like, the good thing is, there are professional resources out there and plenty of them to help you. So, you know, you point to each of them and think about each of these and come up with your own list, develop this one, and look at them, how the emotional toxins, how they impact or how they occur expectedly or unexpectedly in your own home. And, you know, warning, this is going to take you longer than 5 minutes.
This is not a one and done. This is a lifetime exercise. It truthfully is.
Yeah, but being aware of them that's what's so important. And you're not going to be able to fully eradicate them all. Like, for example, grief. That's one that will always be there in some form or fashion. But it's being aware of it and the impact that has on you. So it's acknowledging it, acknowledging its presence, seeking help, and that all leads to having a healthier environment in your home. In like children have to deal with these as well. It's not just adults, it's children. And, you know, what siblings do you know that doesn't have to deal with envy? What was on your list? Anger and frustration,
depression.
Yeah, like it's so important that not being like brushing those under the rug and just waiting and they can deal with it in adulthood. Like,
and you know, this may be something that is seemingly simple. I personally remember growing up, I'm the youngest of three boys, and I always wanted to go with my brothers. I was like, but I really want to go, I want to be a part and all that. But when they would go off and do things, it'd be depressing because I'm too little. I can't go. And that's something that needs to be dealt with early. Learn how to deal with it so you can deal with it in later life.
Yeah. And you have things like grief, which is a huge thing. Now, thankfully, we haven't had any family deaths to deal with recently. But we had to deal with the rehousing of our family cat, Peppermint Rose. And that was 4 years ago, or over 4 years ago, and the girls still remember it and they still miss her.
Whenever they draw pictures of the family, Peppermint Rose is still in it.
Yeah, she's still part of the family. We know she's being looked after by another family, which is wonderful. But one of our twins is especially attached to everything.
This was surprising when I found this out.
Like, so every now and again we go through their rooms, make sure and give a good clean out. And we were finding chocolate wrappers and leaves from all the walks that we've had. And this was something that she just collects everything, and it's important to her. She has this fear of forgetting a memory if she doesn't have a physical item.
So that's what she has actually done. She has the physical representation of that memory, so she will not forget it. Yeah. And that amazed me that she actually does this. And also an example for us adults, when we have children, it may be something very insignificant to us, or we feel that way. It is not to the children. It is important, and you have to respect it, that it's important.
Yeah, those things bring her joy. They're, you know, and but we do have to sift through. It's like, if you want to add a toy, then you have to take a toy out. And it still amazes me. All the stones, pebbles and stones she has collected, she knows exactly if one of her sisters have given it to her or where she's got it from. They all have meaning, and she applies that with gifts and toys and everything that she has.
Everything, literally.
Yeah. In Then you also have things like anxiety for kids. And for them, it could be anxiety with it's the unknown. They don't know what's going to happen, so they're more anxious about it. But even though that can apply to us too, is we also have it in other factors or things that actually happen. There's always a reason behind something.
There is.
But common factors are, the dealing with finances or stressful situations that we have to deal with. And then also having those unwanted conversations with people. That gets me.
It gets me too, because it's not something I want to do. It's like, if you just think about it, the simple phone call to somebody saying, look, you haven't followed through on whatever you were supposed to do. I need this, whatever it is. That's a confrontation. It causes stress because I don't want to be seen as this mean, bad guy, but this needs to be taken care of. So then we get into the vicious cycle of like, well, I don't want to do it. Now it gets worse as we put it off. We should have dealt with it when it was small. Now it's big.
And like every personality, whether you're male or female or just like however you deal with things, you're going to deal with it differently. And different things are going to cause you different types of stresses. But remember, like what we're trying to do is create that safe environment in your own home. And so having to deal with those emotional toxins, as we call them. But whatever emotional toxins, please don't let them build up. You want to call your home. And that's very important.
It is.
It's just important, like physical toxins we discussed last week. So we have covered a lot of big physical and emotional toxins, but we also have to remember to keep an eye on those smaller changes that we have to make in our daily lives too,
especially this year.
Yes
Because we are in almost a perfect storm situation. So many things have happened this year. It is easy to overlook the small little things.
Yeah, when you're stuck at home or you've lost a job, people are having to homeschool, and homeschooling isn't right for their family. Like there's big there's been a destruction in like the fabric of society. Yeah, a
big change. But within this, little things can creep in still. It may not be something that's on your radar right now, but who's to say in a year or 2 years it's not your next big trial, because we were not aware of it, and then it comes back and it bites us.
So it's like making sure that we don't like overshadow those big things, like those, making sure we're keeping dealing with those smaller issues or those smaller changes that we have to do. Otherwise they will lead to major complications in our future. And like, so dealing with any toxin that comes our way, however it comes, and dealing with it straight away, making those tweaks in life to keep balance. And that's really hard, like in your everyday routines too. Like being unbalanced, that can lead to a toxic home with very little notice. So it's just doing the best that we can in one way or another. There will be changes to your lifescape. It will happen.
Lifescape is fluid, and it's always changing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the point of the name that we chose, is it's going to be fluid. But the great thing about it is, if you're aware and you take the time to look at the small and the large things, you still get to decide. You get to decide what's important and how to address it. And that is control.
And let's be honest here. Like most days, we mess up. Like there's a challenge here or there, but that's what happens. But there are tricks to help, and we'll go through those in the future about being able to see that everything is unbalanced. Just being able to see that's a huge achievement in itself.
I just think about waking up and missing your alarm. Yeah, that's a problem. You start off the day bad. I don't know why that came to mind, but it is the little things too.
Starting off the day in the right way, kind of thing. But all of that kind of seems very negative, but it's let's twist that And it's like every step forward that you're doing, that's something to celebrate. And it's turning the things that happen into a positive light.
And you really want that viewpoint. You want to look at things and say, okay, so if I'm looking at this negative, how can this be positive? What is the positive parts in this?
Yeah.
Why? Very simple. You don't know that today what you're fighting, what you are overcoming today, may not be important to somebody else tomorrow. You may be the factor, you may be the one that helps them to improve their battle or helps them to overcome their personal battle, their toxin that they're going through at that time.
Yeah. So it's like seeing the bigger picture. And it's like moving forward, removing all kinds of toxins throughout your home, like step by step, right? Okay, so until next time, you're the best keeper of your own personal lifescape.
Stay well.